What's up, guys? You're watching RPadTV. Hope you're having an awesome week. This week's episode is going to be all about Invincible Season 3. I'm joined by two excellent people. On the top left is my excellent friend, Mac Marshall. What's up, Mac?
Hey, how are you guys?
Doing great. And on the top right, well, it's my top right. I don't know what you're seeing, is Carlos from Revisiting the Mania. What's up, man?
Hello there.
And as I said, today we're going to talk about Season 3 of... How many times do you think
that was really well done?
Yeah, perfectly timed.
I'm just gonna be like, so Mac, what did you think of the latest season of? There's gonna be a lot of that, but I want to get some updates from the stuff you guys are working on. Mac, I was on the Turtle Beach site and I noticed some awesome new colorways.
Yeah,
if you could tell the people a bit about them.
I can. We launched 2 new colorways of some of our wireless headsets. The Stealth 600 now comes in a super cool, like deep royal purple.
That's hot.
Which looks amazing in like real life, by the way, too. Not just in a good picture. And then we also added our Arctic camo colorway tends to be pretty popular, so we added that for the slightly lower cost Stealth 500 wireless headset.
The kids love the Arctic camo. It's not
It's a strange thing. Like I don't know if that would have ever been my go-to choice. It's neat, but like
yeah,
it's definitely
maybe we're just old.
It's a colorway that moves a lot. Like it tends to do well.
Very cool. And Revisiting the Mania, you had an awesome guest very recently, Carlos.
I sure did, Raymond. It was you.
That's
you
right.
were on our latest episode that we just streamed last Saturday. We did a review of the movie Queen of the Ring, which is based on a true story of Mildred Burke, the lady, the first, I guess, promoter lady of professional wrestling.
Yeah, and one of the first $1 million female athletes in the world, which a lot of people don't know her story because it's so long ago, and the history of pro wrestling isn't something they really teach in schools. So,
yeah, they should though.
Can I go back real quick to
a
mind-blowing fact about gaming headset?
Yes.
That Stealth 600 model, right? So like that's the 3rd generation of Stealth 600 headsets. There's been a couple iterations prior to it, but if you take them all into account across Xbox or PlayStation versions that we've made, we've sold over 6.2 million Stealth 600 headsets since they came out in like 2017.
That's awesome.
Wow.
And like half of those are in Arctic camo.
Probably. Yeah. I mean, like, the Arctic camo was one of the only 3 colorways of the prior iteration. So
right. So let's dive into our review of Invincible Season 3. As always, let's kick things off with a short blue sky chunk. Carlos, what did you write about this?
I wrote that this was a very awesome season, action-packed season, very gory and violent season. But besides all of that, it still provided us with some very tear-jerker moments. And I felt like this was a great showmanship of storytelling to be able to get that done all in 8 episodes.
Did I take the wrong screenshot? I think you did.
No, I just expanded it because it's that whole top part doesn't have to do anything with the review.
Gotcha. So Matt, give me a bite-sized review of Invincible Season 3.
I'm going to use a play on words.
Ooh.
Instead of the word roar, I'm going to go with MOAR instead.
Oh, nice. And for those of you who haven't figured it out, Mac is a big fan of Battle Beast, as you should all be.
You got to quit fucking teasing us with him and just get to the shit. Like, that's what needs to happen.
And rounding out our Blue Sky reviews, I said the showrunners did a fantastic job of turning 18 issues of comics into 8 excellent TV episodes full of crazy action, great storytelling, and strong character development. Yeah.
Do you know how my wife and kids are now judging, like if I like an episode, is about how much I'm yelling at the TV screen.
That is a good barometer. That is.
Yeah, I was very much in Oliver's headspace of like team up and get it done. Like,
yeah,
and yelling at him for fumbling around.
So what are Mac? Let's stick with you. I mean, there's a lot. I mean, we're such fans of this show. All three of us. We've loved the first two
for such weird different reasons. Like I have zero context when I go into any of these episodes. I'm just hoping for more, right?
No, and that's cool. I think that's a testament to the showrunners that
absolutely
they were able to grab you in. But what aspect of the show stood out to you in season 3, and what did you enjoy the most?
I think one of the cool things was finally seeing Mark get moved to the point of where he got to, like in terms of physical violence, by things happening to people he loved, right? You know,
right.
Fuck with his mom, fuck with his brother, fuck with his girlfriend. Like those are his like backbreaking kind of like Mark's gonna go berserk moments. And I think that was a very cool kind of payout to see that kind of played out in the last episode.
Yeah, because we always think of, or at least I do. I don't want to speak for you guys, but even though he's half Viltrumite, I always think of Mark as human, partially because of his upbringing, and partially because of how he behaves. His brother acts more Viltrumite than he does, and he's half of a whatever that bug thing.
Yeah, the space flying.
And I liked how that the multiple Marks episode showed just how bad it could have gotten, right?
Oh yeah.
Like, without the kind of guidance that he got from his mom and along the way and things like that. So I thought that was probably one of the coolest parts to me, to see him battling against essentially his own demons, which were himself, you know?
Yes. Aha. I love where you're going with that. Carlos, how about for you? What stood out for you?
Mostly just like all the character development that we got. We got some backstories on villains. We got some backstories on the supporting cast, like Rex, and even the backstory on
Cecil.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
that was
it was great to see.
I forgot about that. That also was like one of my favorite parts of the season.
Yeah, and then like knowing that that's Walton Goggins' voice, and now that I'm like, I just finished hearing his voice, and now he's on the White Lotus, and now he's back on my screen as Baby Billy.
And we're gonna see him again in the upcoming what's the Fallout TV show.
Fallout 2, yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
But
great
right
show.
Now, yeah. And then he's on the Righteous Gemstones as Baby Billy. So it's just so weird because you see him encapsulate so many of different types of characters. I feel he came out
like he's been in a lot of things, and I feel like all of a sudden he's in everything now. Like you can't look away and not.
That's what I just noticed with Giancarlo Esposito.
Yeah. So
same thing.
The first thing I saw Walton Goggins in was in theaters. It was a rainy day in Manhattan. My friend and I were the only two people in the theater right until the movie started. Then 2 more people came in, and that was Major League 3, Back to the Minors.
Oh man,
what a terrible movie.
But my friend and I were such marks for Major League that we had to see it in theaters.
Yeah, that was good. It was a good series, but still not great.
So wait, we're going on a tangent already, but we're continuing with Walton Goggins. But Carlos, until 2 weeks ago, I did not realize you were watching this season of White Lotus, and I'm very excited about that because I like the show in general, but season 3 has my favorite member of Blackpink in it. So major news, especially if you're fans of Thailand. What are you thinking of Lisa specifically in White Lotus?
She hasn't been like pushed out there that much. She's just being like an infatuation love interest for one of the guards.
Yeah.
So I haven't been able to see more of her talents in display. Like if this whole season is just her, like maybe quietly seducing this guy into being a chump a little bit longer or something like that, so she can get away with some bigger scheme that she has, then she's doing a great job at it. But as of right now, she's just there for eye candy. And, you know, I'm not going to argue. I guess she's very, very, very pretty.
Yes, she is.
My wife's been watching that, and I haven't jumped on board yet.
It's kind of weird for me without Jennifer Coolidge because she was such a big part of the first 2 seasons.
Also, it's weird to see the guy, what's his real name? Jason, the guy who plays Lucius Malfoy.
Right.
Oh,
Jason something, I can't remember.
Jason Alexander?
No, that's from Seinfeld.
But,
Jason Isaacs? Is
yeah,
that-
Jason Isaacs. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so weird seeing him like not have an accent to anything because I've seen him obviously in the Harry Potter one. He plays
Sorry,
the
I
guy.
just saw the Electric State and saw Jason Alexander for the first time in a long time.
Now I'm picturing him like in the
back in his
position.
underwear again, also for the record.
Yeah, so I seen him in that. He was in The Patriot, the guy who kills Heath Ledger from
Never saw
that
it.
movie. You never seen The Patriot?
No.
Good movie. It's
The Mel Gibson movie?
Yeah, the Mel Gibson movie.
Yeah.
It was so
it's a
weird
good
seeing an Australian guy play a colonist, but
That's true.
but it was still a good movie. You should at least watch it once, Raymond.
Okay.
Maybe when
Yeah,
you're
it's
proud
worth
to be an
watching.
American again.
Yes.
Maybe not.
So my favorite aspect of season 3 is that they were able to fill so many great stories that I loved in print into a relatively short season. And for the most part, it worked. I loved how it was very honest and accurate for the most part to the comics, but the changes that they did make absolutely made sense and I think made for a better story and some better character development. So it's one of those things, and I'm not as picky about this as I used to be when I was younger, when I was much more of a comics purist, and I would get pissed off at every change, but I love the blend of staying true to the original while making smart adaptation choices. I think they knocked it out of the park. Amazon in general, I think The Boys also falls in to that category of staying true to the tone of the comics, but even more so, they're making even more changes from the comics, but they're absolutely working in The Boys. So
Right.
that was my favorite. Carlos, did you have a favorite episode of the show? I mean, there's so many good ones that this is kind of hard to pick. So I'm really excited to hear what you guys have to say.
Like you mentioned, it's so hard to pick. Like one is my absolute favorite because every one of these have like one part here, one part there that I like to. So I think if I really had to choose the one for it to kind of be like the one, it would have to be the penultimate. What the
Invincible one.
episode? Yeah, the one that's called "What Have I Done?" I think is the title.
Right.
So it's just because, as Mac mentioned, you have all these different iterations of, Invincible, and they're all not good. So
Yeah.
to have everything come to the forefront for everybody it's involved, having Angstrom come back and just unleash all of these different variants, and knowing that the world is pretty much going to be running thin on superheroes that are going to be able to go up against all of these different Invincible people that are coming out from different multiverses.
I liked how that showed just how unique a character our Invincible is.
Yeah.
Like it made him all that much more important that he didn't end up like the piece of shit like all of his alternate universe versions.
Or at least the ones
Any one of them could
Yeah.
have been a good one,
Yeah,
I mean,
because they could have always taken out, like in other universes, they could have taken out the other one, and this is just like the one that's still left, maybe.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I know what you're saying, but that's just, it's different probabilities, different raising, and also just, pretty much to see Mark going and trying to figure out and how to save everybody. And then with the loss that we get with, we mentioned this off air when we were getting together, and but the Rex, with how Rex goes out, it was very reminiscent of Gambit going out with X-Men 97 recently.
Yep.
So sorry, I got too ahead, right? So
No,
But-
all good.
yeah, but I think if I had to think about like all of the emotions that I had and that going through that episode, I think that's probably the
I was
most
watching
one.
I was watching that episode with my daughter the day it came out, and the moment that he had his whole kind of like redeemable moment with what's her name?
with
Ray.
Eve.
No, the shrinking girl.
Oh, Ray, shrinking Ray.
Yeah. Like the moment he had his redeemable moment with her on the front porch with groceries, and then like my daughter Lex, she's like, oh, he's gonna die. And I was like, yeah, it doesn't look good. And then sure enough, he went off to go help and went boom.
We hardly knew ye, Rex. But he did go out like a boss.
He did.
How about you, Mac? What was your favorite episode this season?
I really liked the last two, and I think again the culmination of getting to the point where I want to see certain things so badly that I'm yelling at the TV when they're either happening in celebration, or I'm yelling at the TV along with like Oliver when Mark's not fighting as hard as I think he should be, kind of thing. But I think those last two episodes, and again, the one with the multiple marks, I said, like, again, we were all talking about beforehand. I feel like that was a neat way to show just how unique the current world Invincible is.
Right.
That we get to kind of see his journey and all that stuff. So that was super neat. And man, I'm trying to think if there's, and again, I did really like the episode that gave us a tiny peek into Cecil.
Yeah, the Cecil flashback I thought was great.
That was neat.
That's actually one of the stories I liked much better in the show, just because Walton Goggins is such a great actor that he really brought those moments to life for me. I loved his performance.
And it's interesting to look at that in a parallel lens through something like what was the other Apple TV show with Jason Sudeikis? I'm drawing a blank all of a sudden. Ted Lasso.
Oh yeah.
Right, where they do like a break-off episode that's dedicated to Coach Beard, but like you want to see what Coach Beard's life is like, but you're better off, and he's a much more interesting character not knowing, right? So like doing the Cecil episode incorrectly could have been received very poorly, but I think they did it just enough to make you still want to see even more about what his life could have or was like, and how he got to where he is.
Although a little quite different though, because in that season, I think that's season 2 of Ted Lasso, they gave them 2 more episodes that they weren't planning for because the show was doing so well. Sure. So that's when they ended up doing the Christmas episode and the Beard After Dark. Because they didn't have anything written.
Still, I don't know.
Whereas this, the Cecil stuff that was the way he was.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But go watch Ted Lasso too. One of my favorites.
Yeah, well, there's the whole 4th season now coming too.
Yes, I'm happy and a little bit scared.
Yeah.
At the same time.
Interesting.
Yeah. I like that Cecil episode too, and it sounds like a cop out, but I'm gonna have to go with episode 7. In the comics, it's called the Invincible War, and I think it's 3 issues. So I had to watch that one back to back because it kind of overwhelmed me. It was like coming at me so fast. But what I loved the most about it is not only just seeing the different Invincible versions,
right? Like
but the way,
Invincible.
Yeah, the one that was like Omnimark, where he had the Omni-Man costume. But I love the way that Steven Yeun changed the voice for each iteration of them. So he had one that was clearly psychotic. He had the stoic Omnimark one, and he had one that was kind of a slacker. He had one that just wanted to kill everything. So I love all the little different touches that Steven Yeun put on it. That really, cool. Really impressed me.
To give them all like their own real characters.
Yes. And hard to do. Now, even though I have a feeling, I know what you guys are going to say, but what was your favorite fight scene in season 3? Mac, kick this one off.
Season 3 favorite fight scene. Look, it's too easy to go the end fight scene with Conquest,
but it's so good.
It is so good. It's really fucking good. But I gotta be honest, I like the Alan the alien and Dad releasing the battle beast up in the prison.
And for you, that makes the most.
I mean, like again, so there's so much more there that I don't know about yet and want to, and I did not get enough of the cameo tease from him in that last episode, but in that one where he's definitely the reason they escaped from the prison.
Right.
So I think that's probably one of my favorite battles.
Carlos, your favorite fight?
Yeah, the one against Conquest, just because it was fun seeing like this is the guy that not only people of Earth should be scared of, but Mark should be scared of because all the Viltrumites are scared of Conquest.
Yes.
And so this is like the the baddest of the bad coming after
But Mark
him
didn't
and
know
after.
that. Like Mark wouldn't have that context. He wouldn't know that.
But the
up
other
until he
lady had
tells
told
him,
him.
he's like in that weird, borderline.
I don't know. Do you think maybe like his dad probably mentioned him? You think?
Or I don't think so. They wouldn't have
Yeah?
had time. I don't think.
Hmm.
But maybe if it was like something hidden in his secret book that he wrote about his adventures in space.
That's
maybe.
true.
So, but he's always alerted. Mark is always on alert for Viltrumite, so he's gonna be scared regardless of if it's just one or many. So,
Right.
and just to see all of that, it's kind of reminded me like all the fist meeting, the explosions, and all the seismic and all of the extra animation that they put towards their fight, and every punch and
Yeah.
every collision reminded me of some of those scenes from Batman versus Superman. Even though it's a terrible movie, the fighting sequences and
The
how
intensity of like those
Yeah.
two heroes battling each other is there.
But even before that, I think they did it in the third Matrix with the last Agent Smith versus
that
Neo
was just
fight.
terrible CGI when they did that. But yeah, it was like
I mean, that was long time
yeah.
ago.
But just the ability and the mindset of that's how you would consider two superhuman. Like
Yes. No, that's exactly the feeling I had in the Matrix. Like when they would throw a punch and then all the windows would shatter. I'm like, that's how I envision like when
all
Superman
the
punches
force
somebody.
and
Yeah.
yeah. So
On
all
every
the force that
impact
they're
is like a
using.
nuclear strike on a city.
Yeah. So
Right.
that's mainly because of that, and then just the way it ends. Like Mark ends up winning, thinking he defeated him, but he really didn't. Spoiler alert. But
He did. He defeated him. He just didn't kill him.
yeah, that's what I meant.
Oh.
But I didn't want to say that last part. So
Well,
it's okay.
That was actually
But the other thing I like about this is that Conquest is voiced by Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that ties in together to that whole he played Negan, and Negan
Right.
kills
And Lost.
Yeah.
So it's like what's his character? What was Stephen Yeun's character in Lost?
Glenn.
Again? Glenn.
Not
that's
Lost.
And not Lost, The Walking Dead.
Walking Dead. Sorry. Yeah.
That's okay. Yeah.
Aha. So Zach Morris is in the house. Sorry, I just got here. You don't have to be sorry. We're always happy you're here. The battle between Yes, I liked how they changed. Yes. Okay, so we're going to talk about this at the end. Actually, towards the end of the episode, Zach Morris, we're going to talk about 4 changes from the comics to the movie, and that, as you meant, that one you mentioned is a massive one. So this is why I like that battle the most, because they made some changes, pretty significant ones from the comics that really made it a very different encounter. Some of them were in character development, like Zach Morris was saying, but some of them were just physically, like that scene where he's flying Mark and just like exploding people with his body, like he's flying through. That doesn't happen in the comics. He smashes them through like a battleship in the comics, which is also awesome, but having him using him as a battering ram to kill people, I'm like, wow, this is fucked up. So, it was just like visually, it was just shocking to me, and I love that. So very cool. I'm going with Invincible versus Conquest. I have a bunch of screens that I didn't bother to put.
Use them.
Yes.
There you go.
So, and they did a lot of other things which will get mentioned later because they are pretty interesting. I would love to hear your thoughts on the changes. But yeah, as Carlos said, Jeffrey Dean Morgan knocked this one out of the park. And speaking of performances, Mac, out of the leads, who stood out for you in season 3?
Oh, I think Eve.
Okay.
I think she like, I was talking about this with my older daughter earlier, and it's kind of funny because like when you look at the main characters, like I think Eve is one of the mains at this point.
Yeah, for sure.
And she absolutely kind of came out of her shell and kicked ass. And then they gave a reason why she could be even more powerful than anybody knew, which was kind of cool too, right? Like she was mentally blocked, but she can get through it when things get really dicey. I thought that was all pretty neat. But it's funny because my older, I was like, can we just get away from showing God, what's the I'm just drawing a blank on his name all of a sudden right now. The guy who can't die.
The Immortal.
Yeah. She's like, he's just like he's become like cool. He was cool at first and has just become like thoroughly worthless because he just gets his ass kicked every time. And he never wins. So that was a character development from like my daughter that I thought was just funny because she was just overseeing and Duplicate. She's like, why isn't Duplicate half as good as her brother? You know?
Yeah, Multi-Paul.
Yeah.
And then their other cousin, Defecate. No.
Oh my god.
You know what her powers are?
She's a shit demon.
Zach Morris, since you're here late, I haven't done this gag for you, you know, because we're here talking about season 3 of I almost forgot I had the gag ready.
I thought for sure, Raymond, that you would just keep hitting that the moment that like either I start talking or like just repetitively until it just gets like old.
The problem is I'm trying to converse and produce at the same time, and I'm not good enough to do both. So,
well, definitely don't give me control of that button.
Yeah, I feel like every 3 seconds. So
that's funny.
Yes, it worked. So it was funny once. Let's see how many times I can do it before I make it not funny. Carlos, actor-wise, who stood out for you?
I think Mark. It's made the most.
I like what you said earlier too. Him assuming the role of multiple versions of the same character was neat.
Yeah. One of the reasons, like as the actor, Stephen Yeun, like he showed great range, but now in this season he's trying to balance being a mentor and a family man, not only to like his little brother or half brother, and also trying to like be in a committed relationship with Eve and actually be very serious with her, and also accept that she's always going to be in danger because she's always there by his side.
And they started a small business together.
Yeah. And
there was a part of me that was almost positive that Conquest was going to actually rip Oliver in half.
That was the sound effects in that scene. I'm like, oh man, this is pretty gnarly.
I thought that might be like he's gonna kill his brother and piss him off.
What did you think of Oliver? Because I liked the
I celebrated Oliver showing up and just, even though they were lame, right? Like just showing up and getting in not only some really solid like hits, but some really cheesy shit one-liners afterwards, right? Like
but some of his I guess ambivalence towards killing, kind of like, this kid's
great up. And again I think he's got the right attitude.
He just doesn't have the experience and the muscle to go with it.
Yet. But man, like, you just want him to continue growing at the rate that he was growing previously to get to the size he is now,
right?
And just become full size. And like, and you hope his insect alien DNA gives him some other layer or level of superpower that Mark may or may not have, that blends nicely with the whole kind of Viltrumite powers. So,
I mean, I get that he's half of a different race, so his perspective on things are different. But there are times where the kid just scared the shit out of me. Like,
he's a psychopath. He's a sociopath out of the gate.
Yeah. Zach Morris says, such a wake up for Oliver. Usually he just calls the enemy a dummy before flying through them. Wait till he's 15.
Especially, I want to see full grown Oliver who can't control his temper.
Oh. So I will have a different pick than you guys for lead actors. I mean, I hate to say this, but I always expect Stephen Yeun and Gillian Jacobs to be good because I love them. Because they're
Is Donald a lead actor? Is he like the guy who does the voice for Donald?
Sure, let's put him. I mean, he's been prominent for all 3 seasons, but I will go with Walton Goggins because that Cecil episode really really stood out for me in a way that his narrative didn't in the comics. So, I mean, that's a testament to his performance again. Supporting actors, I'm going to have to go with Conquest. Jeffrey Dean Morgan. He really gave
He
that.
delivered. He gave that character gravitas.
Yes, absolutely. And for reasons that we'll talk about later. Quite different and unique from how he is portrayed in the comics, Mr. Conquest.
Which is how, because I didn't read those.
I'll save it. Okay. Carlos, in the supporting cast, who did you enjoy?
Well, the supporting cast, so many to choose from. We had, but Jason Mantzoukas.
Mantzoukas, yes.
Mantzoukas. Yeah, there you go.
Rex was always Rex made every scene watchable that he was in.
Yeah, and it, a testament to him. And well, he has that whole like charisma where he could play that
Even
lovable
the
scamp
Mento character that he was in Brooklyn Nine-Nine, same thing. Every episode that he's in, you're just kind of drawn to his character.
Yeah, he just eats up scenery, and he's like, "What is he gonna do next?" And it's different in animation, but you hear the voice, and it's just something that just you gravitate to his voice, and maybe you're projecting him as Pimento and other characters. I first saw him in The League on the FX show that they had about him always appearing, being the brother-in-law to one of the main characters, and him getting into shenanigans with the other guy Taco. So that was funny, and just to see him actually have some work here where it was kind of more of a serious, but still him throwing his little jabs here and there to make himself that lovable, scamp, and endear himself to not only to Ray, who is his love interest in this show, but to the team, because they saw him as a leader once Mark left and didn't want to change.
Zach Morris says Jason Mantzoukas was awesome in this season. Great range from his usual dumbassery to the final scene. Yes. I mean, as Carlos was saying, he has this voice and this charm. There are certain actors, Jason Mantzoukas, Charlie Day has another distinct voice like
that's a really good analogy.
It just makes me laugh, like hearing them. And
is it just like the absurdly loud and obnoxious, raspy voice? Like, what is it about that person? Like, that's such a good parallel for Jason Mantzoukas and Charlie Day. It's like very, very similar people,
but they're also very different. But they do have the rasp, like you're saying. Yeah, I don't know. Is there
the ability to like chime in with exactly the wrong / funny thing to say?
It's just, I think the delivery and the timing and the
confidence.
They both
speak pretty quickly, so I wonder if that's part of it as well.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
I was actually watching that at lunch today, where Pimento is trying to teach them how to snort cocaine without snorting it. He's like, it's like, ooh, I got all of that one. Go watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Pimento is an excellent character.
So good.
We have a few more things to talk about, including 4 major changes from the comics, but I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about Proton VPN. RPadTV is proud to be partnering with Proton. I use Proton products myself, paid versions of both Proton Mail and Proton VPN. So this isn't like some comedian podcast you're watching where they're trying to get you to use BetterHelp or get a Factor 5 subscription, even though they've never used those things personally. I actually use these products,
by the way, now.
So there's a lot of crazy things happening online. Proton VPN can help secure your data, help you browse the web privately. It could also help you spoof your location so you could take advantage of your streaming services and unlock additional contents. Proton is backed by Swiss privacy laws, and you know that Swiss make the best stuff, like cheese with holes in it, chocolate, and Alps. And if you want to help out RPadTV, why not get yourself a Proton VPN subscription? You can get up to 64% off using the link go.getproton.me/sh1oj. That's go.getproton.me/sh1oj. There's also a direct link in the Facebook and YouTube descriptions. Now
Maybe
back
if I
to our
use this.
show. Oh,
So
did you
maybe
not?
if I use this, it'll help me watch The Age of Disclosure, which I can't find anywhere in the US.
Uh-huh. Now, Mac, were there any characters that you wanted to see more of in Invincible season
I
3?
think we know the answer.
Yes. But what would you have Battle Beast do?
I don't know, but like all we've gotten is little teases. Like, and it's just never been enough. We saw him literally like, ragdoll Mark around like it was nobody's business. He can clearly handle himself in the Viltrumite prison area.
Yes.
It's weird because like at the end, the last scene with him is like Nolan and Alan the alien are like, you think he's gonna be cool out in space? And they're like, yeah, he's fine. But then apparently he freezes, and that's the last we see of him. And then we just see him kind of getting picked up, which got to have some level of meaning somewhere.
Yes, the coalition of planets are the ones who picked him up, so he can team up with Nolan and Alan again in the future.
Okay.
The coop.
Yes.
What I honestly think we deserve at this point is an Adam and Eve level standalone episode for Battle Beast. Just one episode to give him the context and the backstory and to find out about what he does on weekends.
I'm all for that. And I hope that does happen.
I hope people are listening.
How about you, Carlos? Who did you want to see more of, or who did you not get enough of, really?
I think just getting more of what happened to Alan and his dad.
Where are they?
Dad. Like, are they like was the jailbreak like episode 3?
Yeah.
And so we got like no other clue of what they were doing.
There was a part of me,
but I'm like, I still wanted to see.
Yeah, there was a part of me that was hoping that both Nolan, Alan, and even Battle Beast would come back while Mark was fighting
the Invincible War.
What's his name? Conquest.
Oh,
and they would all four done fuck him up. Like that's the ending that I thought that we were rolling towards for the end of the last episode, but it didn't happen. So that's where the genesis of me wanting more Battle Beast kind of stems from. I thought he was going to come back and be like the closer.
Are you really a fan of Battle Beast, or do you just like saying the word Battle Beast?
I think the answer to both is yes.
It's almost as much fun as saying had to be done.
No, it had to be done.
I'm going to go with Carlos and piggyback on his answer, because I love both J.K. Simmons and Seth Rogen.
Yeah, can't wait to see how that show comes out that he has on Apple TV. I think it comes out next week.
What's his name?
Is it the producer?
Oh, the movie studio show.
Yeah, the movie studio show.
Yeah. I forgot what it's called. The Studio, is that what it's called?
I think so.
Yeah. I'm up for it. And there's another show. Is it with John Hamm like robbing his neighbors or something? They have Apple TV, some weird stuff coming out in the near future. I will take this one first in terms of things we thought were lacking in Invincible season 3. And this is a nitpicky one because I enjoyed the season from episode 1 all the way to the finale. But the Invincible War, I believe, was 3 issues. It might be 4. And the way I read comics, I read pretty slowly in general, but with comics in particular, I often flip back to see if there are details in panels that I might have missed. So to have all that happen in one episode, I mentioned before, it was overwhelming. Like I was like, but it was so well done, and it was really entertaining episode. But I don't know. I mean, even like the fight with Conquest, I can imagine any other show would make that 2 episodes, and I get that they're restrained because they have 8 episodes and they're not splitting them in seasons, but God damn it, Amazon, if you're going to show me 4 goddamn commercial breaks for one.
Oh my
For,
god.
for Medea,
Yeah.
for Medea appliances that I'm never ever gonna buy at this point now, just because I've seen too many commercials.
Yeah. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on that. How were you inundated with commercials?
Yes.
Oh yeah,
Some
I think-
people online said they only got 1 break, and I'm like, I get 4 every
you
time.
get 4, yeah, and like they're all for either. It was Medea appliances, which literally I can hum the tune at this point whenever.
I do
What
not
does
get any
Tyler
of those
Perry
ads.
have to do with appliances?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I would love to see the statistics that show how many like people visited the Medea website when those ads run, and just see if it's actually making a dent in sales. Like, is the Invincible audience really the target audience for Medea kitchen appliances?
So I think Zach Morris has something that is kind of similar to my point, but he feels stronger about it. The Invincible dun 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 dun
Come on.
were kind of a bummer, but still good. I don't think they really reached the full scale that the comics did due to copyrights and whatnot.
Mhm.
That's true, yeah. Because as he mentions, I was hoping for at least Spawn or Savage Dragon, which I don't think they have the rights to for either of those. But it was good for Battle Beast. Yes. There were some other small differences that we're not talking about. One of the other characters, I forget which one, someone from the Global Guardians was pretty much with Mark and Eve like most of the time. I forget who those scrubs are, but it wasn't. So it wasn't.
There were scrubs. It's fine. They don't have to worry about it.
Wasn't much one-on-one time in that fight as there was in the show. But Carlos, any aspects of season 3 that you thought weren't as good or could have been better?
Just a little bit more. I know we're gonna get it a little bit later down the line, but maybe if they would have pushed in, is it the mechanics that are putting of Angstrom back together? Is that what they're
Right.
called at race? Just a little bit more of a
That
background.
came out of left field for me, and like I don't have the comics to back up like context or anything like that, but like
I don't think
I
it
was
was well explained.
Yeah.
no, I was like, okay, so
The technicians. That's what they're. Yeah. The
It's
technicians.
Mike and the Mechanics, the spinoff from Genesis and Philcom. That's way too old of a reference.
Yeah.
But just to get more of a background on them, I think we get it later on. I'm like
Yes.
trying to remember, but just since this is like the first like real introduction of them, it would have been like maybe not like the whole thing, but just to see them, since we've already introduced all this multiverse stuff, and I believe they're part of another like side multiverse universe.
Right.
So just that.
Zach Morris, I see your comment, and that's going to play a pivotal part on a point that I'm going to talk about soon. So I will pull it up then. But for now, Mac, any parts of season 3 that you thought could have been better?
Yeah, and I might be wrong, but I'm going to say it anyways. I feel like the season narrative was anticlimactic. I feel like the final episode and the final battle between Conquest and Mark, like that was like that had like everything you wanted, but like I felt like the narrative for the whole season, like it didn't end. It didn't give me closure, any level of closure that I want as a season closer.
I can agree with that.
I feel like
they almost put
they
too
opened
much.
too many new doors and didn't close enough other ones to make me
Right.
feel like outweighed, like or even.
Yeah. No, that's, and there is no right or wrong in that, and
Nah,
that's
yeah.
totally legitimate. And I agree. Zach
Wait
Morris
until you
says,
find out what the melting suit on the floor means. Melting suit on the floor.
haha. Yes.
Do I not remember that?
No, but now there's something you should watch back. So as I mentioned, there were some major changes. There were a lot of changes, but a lot of major ones. And we're going to talk about 4 major changes from Invincible season 3 that were very different from the comics. First is Conquest. In the comics, he's pretty much just a kick-ass machine doesn't say a lot. He's very capable and powerful, but that whole monologue that Jeffrey
That
Dean
felt
Morgan had,
very out of place.
so that was all new for the show, saying like the other Viltrumites are scared of me. I'm so lonely. But
Anytime I hear the phrase "I'm so lonely," I automatically, in my mind's eye, go to fucking Team America and the "I'm so lonely."
I'm so lonely. Oh,
Sorry.
so Zach Morris was clarifying for you.
I was
Matt.
gonna say, can we answer the question? I'll walk out of this feeling really dumb.
At the end, when Adam Eve removes Mark's uniform with her powers, and it melts down with rainbows coming from it. Yes, but you didn't like that part of the monologue, because for me that made the character much more interesting on the show than he was in the comics.
I felt like it got like, I don't know, like if you're in a really big bad fight, Matt Damon. I feel like it just didn't fit. Like I feel like you talk a lot of shit, you make a lot of off comments, but to get into how lonely you are was like there was like a very awkward, like it didn't fit with everything that was happening, but it kind of did. But it just seemed like the last thing that you would say to somebody if you're, I don't know, trying to scare them, to talk about how lonely you are.
Well, he was saying it's something that only warriors do when he's about to kill his opponent, or at least it wasn't like, Mark, I secretly want to be a ballerina.
Right,
Like,
right. I'm so
that would have been
lonely.
very different. Like,
although, no, if he did say that, I think I would probably like it.
Carlos, what did you make of this change, and as a comic book reader?
I feel that since Kirkman is, I believe, he heavily involved in writing this out and things like that. Sometimes you write your first draft or your comic, and just like when I produce, we make our episodes, and even our most recent one where you were a guest on, Raymond, where we finish, we thought we had everything to say, and then we get off the air and we're like, oh, we forgot to talk about Jim Cornette, and we forgot about this. So Robert Kirkman obviously had this particular thing that he wanted to, and maybe he felt that is like it needed to be said, or it needed to be expounded on a little bit more to give him a little bit more, I guess, of an I guess you could say like an endearing like trait, or just like see how he didn't have like someone to care for him like Mark had his mom, and I guess Nolan up to a certain point, to give him that humanity, give him a reason to like not have to fight and conquer everything and fight for something. But I don't know. I just like it's when it's something I read in the comic book, if I don't have anything to like voice wise, it's hard for me to say this is how I always imagined his voice, and I get mad because the guy's voice gets cast wrong. It's always hard for me to take something that I've read and criticize it when it's brought to live action or animation, because
that's fair.
Yeah.
There are times
you guys found his "I'm so lonely" monologue additive to the whole thing, not like,
because I mean that character was just like a wrecking, like he might as well have been like
just more of a detractor to his like wrecking ball level status character. Like,
but he had
thing you hear from him,
like in the comics, he didn't have any personality at all, really. He just like kicked out.
That makes sense though.
Yeah. Major change number 2, for those of you that don't know, Shrinking Ray in the comics is Ray and is a male character. So the Shrinking Ray Rexplode romance in the show is an original thing, and that helped with Rex's redemption angle from being the jerk that would cheat on Eve and Kate. And part of it is, as we said,
what other age-appropriate woman superhero would he be hitting on at that point in the group?
Hey, I mean, Anthony Kiedis, I learned, is dating a 19-year-old. I learned that this week, and I'm like, whoa, dude. But as we mentioned, part of the reason Rex is so charming in this show is because of Jason Mantzoukas' voice. But part of it is because of this storyline where he is willing to give up his life of adventuring to have a boring home life with Ray. It just makes him more likable, and it makes his death sadder. Did that what did you think of that, Mac? And would that have changed anything if Rex didn't have that angle with Ray?
So it's weird because I didn't care for the fact that he had like a redeemable moment. Like I like Rex's character for what he was, which was just to the point and blunt and kind of a dick.
Yeah.
And like just his own acceptance of that. Like I would go cater more to, I love what the writers do with Rex's dialogue, and I love how Jason Mantzoukas delivers on it, right? I think the writers really are like the heart and soul of like what Rex's character is and became.
But can you picture it like with a different voice though, and not being like, think of
now I can picture with Charlie Day's voice.
no, but how about like an angry Colin Farrell, you know, when he gets in that mode? Would that be as charming?
No, it wouldn't. And I think it's a combo of both, because I think just the dialogue lines, like the things that they get him to want to say, and then the way and the voice behind it combined to be like super powerful. You know, and like you said, I think in subconsciously in my head, I do see Pimento a lot of the time under that suit, which is even more funny. But yeah, the gender, like the whole hidden redeemable part, like I thought it was kind of stupid because that's not to me who he is. His redeemability to me was in the fact that like he became kind of like more of a leader of the group.
Okay.
Right.
How about you, Carlos? What did you make? Did that add anything? Did it change your interpretation of Rex from the Rex you met in the comics?
Not really. It just like in the comics, it's like he has his beginning, he has his end. Like he helps out and things like that. But like I mentioned to you previously, it's hard for me to create more or give another character a little bit more than when the writer's putting it in a comic book. Is it because I don't have it just an active imagination or anything like that? But once it's put to live and someone's bringing it more to life with their voice, and we know that voice acting has come a long way since before, when it was like recorded before the animation was even done. And now we have it where it's either they adjust their faces, their emotions while they're speaking, and encapsulate more of the voice actor when they're making these things. So you could feel that this is more meaningful, and they needed to make this happen. I'm not sure if once again,
I think as a character, he lasted a lot longer than I expected he would overall throughout the series.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah,
because at some point early on, he's a superhero, right? Like he's got power, but he just doesn't seem to like match up in terms of strength, size, powers, and abilities as like some of the others in the room. But then, like then he shows his stuff like time and time again, and I think that to me was like the kind of like he's like my like that's why like his liner going out of like my whole fucking skeleton like was just exactly what you expected him to say before he blew himself up.
And I think that Shrinking Ray doesn't even make it this far, right? Don't they perish? No, in the comics.
No, in the comics. You're right. Yeah, you're right.
So it's like not only a gender swap, but it's like a what if branch of the timeline, like Shrinking Ray and continues, and that's why they have that. So I
was going to say the same thing, Zach Morris. I'm interested to see what Ray's storyline will be from this point. It's like all
who did they pick up, because this obviously has to be someone that they can't get the rights to.
Right.
So yeah.
Right. For me, it made a small difference in Rex's likability, but the bigger difference was, like Max said, was because of Jason Mantzoukas, and specifically because I love the character of Pimento so much in Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I mean,
scene stealer.
Yeah.
I think maybe they just wanted to give him a really good send off for just being able to have such a good time, good run with the character.
So for the next major change number 3, let's pull up Zach Morris's comment first. I did like how they added to Adam Eve's battle with Conquest. They made her look stronger, and the battle lasted longer in the show, much longer if I'm remembering correctly.
And her battle with him in the comics.
Yes,
Mhm.
the Angstrom Levy fight at the end made Angstrom look more formidable in the comics too. Like that fight too. Yes, so in the comics, Adam Eve versus Conquest is like a page, basically, just
Short-lived.
like brush. Yeah,
Mhm.
and she's much more of a in the comics in general. She does get really powerful later, and she does get into some pretty fun confrontations, especially with Nolan later. But she has a much more damsel in distress kind of deal.
Okay.
I love that they had her hold her own against Conquest for a bit, and they used her powers in different ways. I think, Mac, you and I were texting after that episode, and I was like, Adam Eve has to go read some Marvel comics with Molecule Man so she could learn how to use her powers like
Yeah.
on a mega level.
Yeah, that was a really I like so like as a guy who's a father of 2 daughters, right? I love seeing female superheroes that can hold their own against the best of the best, right? Like it just is like a reassuring thing that like they have superheroes that they can look up to too, right? You know, so it's just something that's super cool. So watching that with my daughters, like you get like as a dad, you get that just like, oh man, like this is super cool for them feeling. And then it, you know, like you said, she held her own for considerably longer than I think anybody watching the show expected was going to happen. And
Yeah.
I think that was such a cool element. And I guess, you know, even cooler because it's so different from like how, you know, how she was in the comic book. That to me would be a big thing as well if had I had that context going into it. But again, I think the fact that they gave her such a awesome kind of ability, right?
Yeah.
To, you know, just basically fuck, you know, what's his Conquest up, right? Like that was really great. I really love that.
No, I mean, if she can literally rearrange matter on a molecular
Biological
level,
matter,
yeah.
right?
I mean, there's so many things that she can do with her powers that she's just
I love when she
scratching
stopped the
surface.
air and he couldn't fly. Like that was just like,
Yes.
oh my god, like why did like can't she just compress the air around him and turn him into nothing?
Right.
Like
So Zach Morris brings up this point, which technically she was still hurt when she fought him too. Yes, because she got out of breath.
yeah, she was all fucked up from breaking her robot leg or whatever.
Yes. Carlos, what did you think of Adam Eve getting a power buff in the show?
Well, it's good going forward because
And those are just
we need
casts, right?
to-
Like the whole leg brace and Mark's new hand.
Yeah.
braces.
Yeah,
they're
Those
not
are
permanent.
temporary. They're not part robot from, you know,
Yeah.
what's his name?
They're not Bucky. So,
They're not Winter Soldier parts.
no,
Okay.
they're not anything like that.
Because I thought it might be the weird mad scientist working for Nolan who's like fixing them permanently for good kind of thing. Like that
Oh.
leg's gonna last you 90 years, you know.
Yeah. But
What's that guy's name?
that guy.
the
Working
mad scientist that was working for Cecil.
Yeah.
Oh,
I feel bad that I forgot his name.
yeah, because he was
Like
voiced by
JC or that, or
by Ezra Miller.
Right,
They
Ezra
changed
Miller,
him.
but then they recast him
Yeah,
after
so
he
that's
went
the-
insane.
Is it Donald?
no, Donald is like his
No,
helper.
no.
Yeah. Donald is voiced by
Yeah. That's the
Who is the
Cyborg.
voice of Donald?
Chris Diamantopoulos.
Dementopoulos. Okay.
Yes.
Isn't he
Who-
the 3 commas guy? The 3
Yes,
commas? Yeah.
Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
Yes.
3 commas.
Yes.
Yeah. But
Epic- My
St.
card
Clair,
had-
isn't it DA Sinclair or something?
Yes.
DA Sinclair.
Yeah. There you go. I got it.
See, you're usually fact checking us if you're not on. So,
Yeah.
like, wait, who's fact checking now?
So yeah, but it was good to see her. She needed like that. If she's gonna be helping out, and they have, I don't know, I can't remember if they continue that protection agency,
Right.
for how long more. But you know, if she's gonna be going off and helping Invincible, she needs to step up her power game, and this is a good
Right.
way for them to actually do this in the show.
Yeah, and it works on multiple levels, like you said, on a practical level, Carlos. But as Mac was saying, I love that it has a strong female character. from an actor that I really love, Gillian Jacobs, who was so good in Community.
Oh yeah.
If people might know her from Love on Netflix, that was I think it was a 2-season series they got. Judd Apatow's Love. She was great in that. She played a small role in Showtime, that Lakers show on HBO, where she was Chris Riley, Pat Riley's wife. So it was cool seeing her decked out in like early 80s, makeup and clothing. But yeah, Gillian Jacobs is one of those Hollywood actors where she's clearly a beautiful woman, but she also looks like a real person at the same time.
Yeah.
Which is, I
Totally.
don't. Okay, it's not just me. Okay, otherwise, is that insulting? I don't know. I'm not sure.
No.
Yeah. And the last change that I want to talk about, and this is interesting because I don't think it's well explained, but Damien Darkblood, who was kind of screwed over by Cecil in season 1, they have him coming back in, it's not really like a post-credit scene, but it's kind of like a stinger at the end there, where he's in hell. And this is totally original. This doesn't happen at the comics at all. So I'm really excited for this. I don't know if it adds anything or means anything to you guys, but I'm geeked out about this for reasons I will tell you later. But Carlos, what did you make of this scene with Damien Darkblood appearing in hell?
I just don't know. I didn't think it was hell. I thought it was just like a different like multiverse, like a different universe that he was stuck in, or maybe wherever Angstrom is with the technicians. So maybe they're gonna do a little team up there
with Mike and the Mechanics.
Yeah,
that's what I'm calling that from that.
Dirty Mike and the Mechanics.
Dirty Mike and the Boys.
That's from the
other guys. I love that movie. Like, I'm gonna fly like a peacock.
What do they call the homeless orgy in your car? There's a name for it.
Yeah,
kitchen,
like pizza party or something like that, or kitchen frenzy, or
no, soup kitchen.
Soup kitchen. That's what it was. Yeah.
It's like we found. I love this line from Damon Wayans Jr. is like, "We found your car. It was trying to vote for Ralph Nader." It's just a silly, stupid line that kills me. There's so many things in the movie.
So what's funny about that Damien Darkblood thing is I didn't even make the connection when I saw it the first time. It didn't even like register that was that same character. I thought, oh, who's this new person that we don't know anything about? And that's the way I read it, because I completely forgot about Damien Darkblood as a
no. This is good. This is a good criticism of it.
That was interesting. But like I said, even leading up to like us talking tonight, I had to go like get my ducks in a row and figure out, was it really him? And like go look at watch that again and all that stuff.
Yeah, I think it's I forgot what thing you were talking about before where it wasn't well explained in the show, but I think this is another example of
it. It felt exactly like that same thing about the the Angstrom Lee.
Oh, right.
Guys rebuilding him, or like that just came out of left field, and I was like, oh, okay, I guess you're teasing something else, and I don't know what. But
this is one of the reasons.
The exact same thing when I saw the end clip.
This is one of the reasons I love watching the show and talking with you about it specifically, is because some things make sense to me because I read it like whatever years ago, and some things I'm like, did they do that well? I'm not sure. Let me check with Mac.
It's been around.
They're pretty old, huh? Let's see.
2012, the first, or 8.
Let's see what Wikipedia says. 2003.
Oh, 2003. Oh, it's way off.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't remember it being that old.
Why did it take so long to become an actual really good Kick-Ass cartoon?
Kick-Ass is another comic book.
I know.
I realized you could probably confuse Mark for being Kick-Ass because of how many times
they both have they both get their ass kicked a lot. I don't know.
Only one of them is.
I think it was a niche thing.
Raymond.
Oh, I did not have it already. I'm so sorry. See, because I was thinking.
You was too busy talking.
Yeah, and I don't even know where it is now.
Oh
my God. I totally forgot. So anyway, more thoughts on season 3. Did I redeem myself there?
Yeah, you totally
Yes.
sold it.
So, Zach,
Okay, I got a quick question. Maybe there's an answer to this or not.
yes,
But in the battle with all the Invincibles, the Darkwing dude tackles a Mark into the Shadow Realm, and we never see them again.
yes, they are both assumed dead now because he's in the Shadow Realm or whatever.
Yeah, because if
So-
that Mark actually beat up Dark, and then he has no way of coming
Darkwing
back.
Duck or whatever,
Yeah.
then he
Yeah.
can't.
He has
can't
no
get
way
out.
of coming back. Yeah.
Yes.
Hmm.
So Zach Morris knows where this is going. Interested to see where they take season 4. They said they were going to break from the comics because Kirkman always wanted Invincible to fight the devil, but never worked it in. Or really, the way I read it, and correct me if you read something else, Zach Morris, but Kirkman loves when the hero has to fight a darker version of themselves, and that's what he wanted Mark to go to hell in the comics, but he could never fit it in and never get it approved in the constraints he had. Oh, and to go back, I forgot to answer your question, Mac. Why hasn't it been done before? Because I don't think anyone was interested until Robert Kirkman became the Robert Kirkman that he is today. So
Sure. Okay.
yeah.
Also, the boys having success too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's I think that's what Raymond's alluding to.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm grateful because that.
No, it's super cool. I want to say like this is one of my favorite TV shows of all time. Like
Yeah.
I'm hooked.
Zach Morris continues. I just hope they don't go too far away from the original story. I don't know when they'll do it, but I really want to see the Anissa storyline play out. Yes. The Alan with Omni-Man story is great too. Yes. Anissa has I don't know
And
if
this
people
is
realize
the girl,
the girl Viltrumite
Mhm.
who came and kicked his ass real quick and then left.
Yes, but there is a lot more of her in the comics. And I don't know if people realize this, but there's a ton of comic left. I think
I have no idea, so that's good to know.
There's 140 something issues, and we're like a third of the way through, I think.
Good.
I think they kind of end in the 60s, but there's all these spin-off issues as well. And they did so much in season 3 that I'm curious to see.
So then do we see Oliver grow up eventually?
We do. Yes. Okay. Yes, we see lots of things.
And do we see Eve fully naked eventually then? Because it seems like they're going that direction.
And for that, they should go live action with Gillian Jacobs. Just my thoughts on it. Just an idea.
That's interesting. And do you guys know? Do you guys know if I'll get my fill of a Battle Beast story ever?
I don't know if you'll get the spin-off episode, but I think that's a fantastic idea. Yeah. Oh, maybe too many. Yes. Yeah. I mean, I love how this might be the most violent American cartoon that I've seen.
I do love the part where Conquest is flying, holding Mark as he's approaching the beach, and you see like women, kids, and dogs,
and he's exploding. Yeah,
like, they all like you're like they're not gonna they're gonna do it, and then like
that was original for the show too.
Women, dogs, and kids all in one.
Yeah, the kid.
Subway. The kid loses his hand. He's holding his mom's hand in the subway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So many shocking and excellent moments. Well,
we actually had I watched it the day that the last episode came out on Thursday, and then the following Saturday, my daughters had their friends come over to the house for like a total watch party. So I watched it again with like a group of teenagers at our house.
Mac, keep going on this thought. Wrap up your final thoughts on season 3 and let me know what you're hoping for in season 4.
I would like to see again, just going back to what we just said, I would love to see what happens with Nolan and Alan the alien and the Battle Beast and how they end up reintegrating with the rest of the characters in the story.
Carlos, same question.
To summarize my season 3, my thoughts on season 3 is this is a season where the violence it just keeps going, and when you think you can have you've had enough, and there isn't gonna be more, and that you're gonna get like, normally you get like a filler episode or a palate cleanser. No, it
Right.
doubles down and gets even more violent and bloodier.
Mhm.
Right.
So, and I love that it didn't shy away from, going that route, that it's just like hit after hit after hit after hit, explosion, body parts everywhere, after, dismemberments and battles. And not only that, but also more villains
Yeah.
for Mark to have, because we didn't even get to talk about it too much, but we get like that introduction to Aaron Paul's character, Powerplex.
Oh, I was just gonna say, we were talking so much, we didn't even mention Powerplex.
Yeah, and that was a very interesting. That's like my runner up episode, just because of the way that he's obsessed with getting his revenge.
Huh, that's interesting.
And he like doesn't realize, when
He's
they're
become
fighting at the final
yeah.
battle. Yeah, he's become the
Right.
ultimate bad guy, but in his eyes, he's still a good guy. And
But
he
that's
still has
those are the best bad guys. The ones
yeah,
that think they're
and
right.
it's funny because once they had the
Well, it's
Invincible
still
War,
almost still
and
saying
then he
wars
breaks
are always
out.
started with good intentions,
Yeah, once they had the Invincible War and he breaks out, he goes and he's like a little kid at a candy store, because he's like, there's so many of them, I can kill them all if I really want
Yes.
to. So
See, I kind of had like, the character is supposed to bother you a bit, so I was like, I hope they kill him off in the show. That would be like, I wanted him to die.
right.
Yeah.
Is that messed up or just me?
Or
I
you
feel like
just
I don't
cared that
care
he
what
was going to say
happens
the
with
word
Mark at
bitch.
this point, though. Like narratively, like I just feel like he'll continue to be a main character, a main story driver. But like, I feel like a lot of what I'm hoping for is revolving around the characters in his orbit and the open storylines there.
Yeah, like for me, Eve is the most interesting right now.
Yeah,
just
Eve,
because they're
Battle
changing-
Beast, Alan the Alien, Nolan. Like, I want to know where those are all going.
Oh, we didn't even
Oliver.
we didn't even talk about Sandra Oh, who also had another great season.
That was great. Her last bit about just not holding Oliver back was literally fucking rad. Like, that was great.
Yeah, like her struggles with parenting her. What would it be? Her stepson or half? I forget. What
That wouldn't be anything to her. It would just be like
Stepson.
if she adopted him, a stepson. But
so yeah, her adopted son, who's insanely powerful,
yeah.
and half alien.
Yeah.
Or I guess no, he's all alien because he's not human at all.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So
and
guys,
as far as I didn't get to my season 4 thing, whereas we have
your season 4 of
oh wait, season 4 of it's not old yet.
No.
I still want.
If we get more of Mark discovering what Cecil's doing, because it looks like he's reanimating Invincibles that he got from the Invincible War. So if he figures that,
is that what it was? Were those dead Invincibles that he was bringing back?
That's what I took.
Because I saw at the very end was like he had Conquest's head.
Yes.
Still?
Yeah, they're still holding on to him, but the other ones that he had got that they were making reanimate.
Yes.
So those were marks that were fallen in the battle of
in the Invincible War. Yeah. So yeah, Cecil has more fucked up things to do, and he will do them. But
what I didn't get, one thing, since you brought that up, like, why didn't they just come out and use the sound effect whistle that crushes Mark's ability to fight?
Right.
That should have, by all means, worked against Conquest.
They were
recovering from having I thought it was because they were recovering from having that battle at the Pentagon.
That's part of it, but also he had them in that pocket dimension, so he was in a limited space where he couldn't really escape. So the problem with Conquest is they were fighting in America, then all of a sudden they're in Europe like half a second later.
They were jumping around.
Yeah.
Yep. So that, and then like the brain sucking or the zombie.
Oh, we totally forgot about the squid alien. And
yes. You will not in season 4.
Is that like the main driver for season 4?
I'm not sure now because they have a lot of new things they can do. But
Mhm.
that villain should be the big bad next season, but I don't know now.
And then, so does Shapesmith have more of a? They seem to give him like a, like pulling
Right.
himself back together. Like, so he's gonna clearly have some level of role to play then, since he came over as one of those, right?
Yes. Yes. That should happen. Zach Morris adds, I hope they cover the marks that Angstrom sent to the waste world. Yes. And I'm still hoping, not that Sterling K. Brown is doing a fantastic job as Angstrom, but I still think that character would be more hilarious as Terry Crews. That would just crack me up.
Just like his getting those points where he has to yell and things like that.
Yeah.
Like, Angstrom loves yogurt.
Angstrom's become an interesting villain to me because I could care less if he continues being an antagonist, you know? Like, but I do want to know like, again, we talked about it earlier, like what happens with, like, how who are what are they called? The guys that
Technicians.
the technicians.
Mike and the mechanics.
Who are Mike and the mechanics?
Yes.
Like, why were they just jammed in at the end? Why are they so powerful they can make Angstrom just bend the knee immediately?
Right.
Like, where, like, again, there's a lot to answer for. And again, that's another one of those open door storylines that didn't get closed. You know, only got opened at the last second, and then you're like, okay.
Right.
So
I loved season 3 of Invincible. It is, I think it's the best season out of the 3.
Oh yeah, so far.
They're all really, really, really good. But as for my wishes for season 4 of this is kind of greedy, but I wish they would slow things down. Part of it is to make it a satisfying season arc, like Mac was saying earlier. But part of it is I really think these things could use more breathing room. Like both the Invincible War and the Battle with Conquest could have been multi-episode fights. It doesn't have to be like freaking Dragon Ball where he has like one fight with Vegeta for 20 episodes. Like, but you know, give it more breathing room, slow it down.
Did you say Vegeta?
Yes. Although
Dragon Ball Z?
Yes. My friend calls him. Oh.
Okay. Yeah.
He's Vegeta as in vegetable, but my friend always calls him fajita. Funnier. He said, I tried to watch that Dragon Ball show that you always talk about, but all I saw was some guy named Fajita screaming for half an hour. I'm like, that's pretty much it. But yeah, I do hope they slow it down. I don't think they will, just because they only have so many seasons that Amazon will give them. But maybe not if it's
feels like a 10-episode season is probably just right instead of 8. Like, I feel like so far 2 more episodes per season could have been far more satisfying
for this one, especially. I completely agree, especially if you're gonna make me watch these goddamn commercials, Jeff Bezos. So goddamn.
Or I will sacrifice 2 extra seasons for just 1 episode of Outer Beast.
6 seasons and a movie. One day the Community movie will be made.
Well, 2026 is what they're saying for us to get the season 4.
Yeah. I read that.
Oh, yeah, they seem to be going faster. I like that they didn't split it up, though. I mean, at least there's that.
Yeah.
Because
that Netflix route where they split up the final season, or if
Cobra Kai was 3, they split up in 3.
Ever since the Lord of the Rings did that shit, man, with the first movie, then just walking over a hill and be like, "Wait, stay tuned for 2 more years for part 2." You're like,
yes. So, can one of you vamp for a second? I am being summoned to.
He's being summoned by God. Oh no, Raymond, come back from the light.
I had to open my door remotely because I have out of town visitors.
How do you open your door remotely?
Apple Home, baby.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant like the door to your bedroom. You got like a robot arm over there, just like.
So I think that will wrap it up for our discussion of season 3 of Oh, actually, no. Zach Morris has a question, and it
Never
should
mind.
be answered. Off-topic question: 1.5-hour Severance finale. Have any of
Final
you been
tangent
watching?
moment.
Yes.
So I'm 2 episodes in of the new season of Severance.
I'm behind also. I think Carlos is the only one that's caught up.
Yes, I am up to
I'm
date.
amazed about how much I didn't like the first season initially, and how much I loved the first season by the time you get to like the last 2 episodes.
Hmm.
Right? Like, and now that I'm into just the beginning of season 2, man, like there's just again so many good, in a good way, so many good open doors for storylines that you want to kind of see them get through. So I'm excited.
Very cool. I'm still
Yeah.
dealing with the door.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out if they're gonna give us more of Gwendolyn Christie. She was in the first episode of season 2 in some random department that we just know deals with goats. We have no idea what they do with the goats, or how they even get the goats, or if they're cloning goats, or if they're just doing something with goats.
I will say, having worked in gaming development, and tech, and worked in very, very corporate buildings, like there's just some of the underlying kind of themes and tones of Severance that, man, like if you've ever worked like where I've worked, you're just like, some of these are just so hit home. Like the hallways that all look the same, you can't find which way you're going. It's just very fun. Oh man, belly buttons, what are we doing here?
I'm telling you, man, you should give Mythic Quest another try. Like
Man,
so many of the characters in Mythic Quest.
How does Zach Morris know that I hate belly buttons?
Couldn't tell you.
Did that come up previously?
maybe.
Don't
Maybe.
think so, but sure. Let's go with it.
That's a strange comment.
But guys, I want to hear what you have to say about season 3 of. Please share your thoughts in the comments section. Check out Mac's new products. There is a link to the Turtle Beach website in both the Facebook and YouTube descriptions, as well as Carlos's podcast, Revisiting the Mania. Definitely check out the excellent last episode of Queen of the Ring, starring me. So, and we'll be back next week talking about Harley Quinn season 5. Hope you have an.
I gotta finish season 4.
Wait, did I say it? Did I say it right? Was it season?
I think it's season 4, right?
I believe it's season 5.
I think it's season 5 because I think I said it wrong last time I said it on a previous.
I've been cramming away on
It's
these.
been watching the wrong season. Oh no.
Damn it.
Just joking.
Well, no, getting caught up, if anything.
I know.
Right?
But we will figure that out. But have an excellent week. We'll talk to you soon, and be excellent to each other as excellent people.
Bill and Ted.
Bye.
Raymond, that's you.